Are you living life on your own terms? It's a big question. And it's not actually what you think, because even the system that you think that's against the system, you can be swayed by. So let's pause with Elizabeth Elenor and let's take a nice deep breath in through our nose and out through your mouth. And just centering yourself, coming back into your body. It's nice to pause and reflect every so often, right? I wanted to reflect today on the system. And there's more than one system. There's many, many different systems that we've got that can infiltrate us to behave a certain way, to be a certain person, to think a certain beliefs, and support us to be followers, to be, what's the word? To buck the system. There's so many different ways of being in the world. And I want to ask you, are you truly, truly stepping into your own authority, or are you still in that following the path that's of the least resistance? So hear me out here. I know that we're here as physical beings to experience ourselves, right? We're here to experience ourselves. We came into this body. In fact, we're a particle of particles of particles of a one consciousness, right? One source of consciousness. Now, even science is understanding that consciousness. Doesn't want to call it any particular name. Doesn't want to give any credit to anything outside of its own system. However, all beliefs have like this same sort of understanding of how it all works, right? This consciousness broke into trillions of different particles that we call souls, and those souls are a fraction of the whole, but still got all of the DNA, all of the information, all of the software of the whole in it. And so we come to experience ourselves not just in this life, and this is a premise, this is a premise. We come to experience ourselves in many, many lives to remember ourselves as that oneness, as the creator, as the source of all things, as all codes. And that's a long journey for our soul. It's not just one life, it's hundreds and hundreds of lives. So now let's bring that down into that we are on this planet and we've been evolving through this process for a long period of time. Since, the first humans, the first level of awareness of being self, of having choice, making decisions, not just being part of the tribe, but having our own individual rights to make conscious choice was a big thing. And we moved from that tribe herd mentality where everyone just did as everyone else did because it was for the survival of the whole, to becoming the individual that reacted and responded to stimulation that was coming external to us. So there's a foundation of the tribe and the herd And then the individual came and evolved over the top of it. And so that that lower frequency, that lower and lower, I'm saying in lower in evolution, but not lower in hierarchy or less than or anything like that. It's just a different frequency. That part is still within us. It's still in our reptilian brain, in the amygdala at the back of the head, and it has, it's still running on autopilot, wanting to belong, wanting to be part of something, wanting to be validated and externalize your part, your connection to everything. But what happens is that part of us has been, like, the world wants to keep us in that control the masses, right? Because when we become individuals and we have a conscious choice, we've got to develop that as a evolved species. That comes with responsibility. That comes with emotional regulation and emotional intelligence and forward thinking and still maintaining that wholesomeness of the herd, of the tribe. And there's a lot to find, as the individual. If all the individuals, if all the individuals went off and did their own thing, there'd be way more chaos. I mean, it's sort of, you're seeing it now, right? There's chaos anyway. So there's this need to keep some sort of order while we are maintaining or evolving into that recognition that I am an individual that has individual rights and individual responsibilities and can emotionally regulate myself via my senses, via, the stimulus that's coming towards me, and I'm part of a bigger community. So as I move into being an individual, I also need to understand and think about what it is as the community that's going to benefit all of us. Because if I think of myself, and that's sort of what the evolution has come by itself, there's so many narcissistic tendencies in the generations that have gone, like that are coming, because it's all about the individual, that we've forgotten that wholeness of how will this affect the family, how will this affect the tribe, the village, the community, and then making conscious choice from that place. So I want to bring that into context. I love this perspective of, hey Betty, lovely to see you from across the planet. I love this perspective of having the individuality while still being part of the group. Yeah, even though it feels challenging sometimes. Absolutely. And this is where conscious choice has to evolve with emotional regulation and emotional intelligence, because we have to be aware of what is right for us, but also be observing that and articulating that through the lens of being part of the community, right? So now let me bring this into context of what I'm talking about, because here we are, we're in a very interesting time frame in the evolution of our planet. Now, talking spiritually, we're moving from third dimension into fifth dimension. So third dimension is that separation, right? I am here, you're there. and we are individuals, and there's this survival aspect to it. Fourth dimension, moving into fifth dimension, is where we start recognizing ourselves as a creator and start recognizing that we're actually unity consciousness, that we have the ability to be part of the whole, and that our decisions affect everything around us, but also everything around us is an indication and a mirror of everything that's that we think, feel, behave, believe, all of those things. And so we recognize ourselves as the creator, and we know, love our neighbor as you wish to be loved yourself. We know that the way we treat people is an indication of how we internalize our own love, honor, respect, support, all of those things. So that's on a spiritual level. On a physical level, or another aspect of it, you may have heard that there is talk that we are in the end times, that the biblical or the ancient text talk about. All the prophecies have been fulfilled already, and so now we're waiting for this new way of being, or some people are waiting for people to elevate and ascend to the earth, to heavens, to be heaven on earth, and this big separation. No one actually knows, right? But I do know that we are in very interesting times. We've seen in the last 5 to 6 years how quickly things can change. We've all been through a massive world shift with everything that happened, 4 or 5 years ago. And it sounds like there's another thing happening, and not everyone knows about it because, of course, it's not indicated, it's not talked about in mainstream media. It's something that is an undercurrent, and that is that tomorrow, and is potentially, we're all going to get on, and I don't know if this is just in Australia or if this is worldwide. However, potentially we're going to jump on to our normal day and social media, and there'll be a screen that says, how old are you? And we need you to show your digital face or whatever to show that you're old enough to be on social media. And it looks innocent. It looks really innocent, right? You think, oh yeah, I'm over 16, tick, 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 I'm going to do all the things. However, just like the frog that's in water and doesn't realize that it's got a fire underneath it, it's part of a system to keep us from that fifth dimensional frequency of unity consciousness, where we recognize we are the creator. Because I got to tell you something really important. When you recognize you're the creator, you recognize that there are people external to yourself that are trying to control you, and you don't need to be controlled. When you recognize yourself as the creator, people like Jesus came to the planet, and they came, things that they said, I am the light, I am the way, I am the truth, right? The truth, the way, the light. I am being the derivative that's the most important in that statement. Jesus, in my opinion, Jesus was not saying, I am the only way, I am the only truth, I am the only light. Jesus was indicating and declaring, because he was already a fifth dimensional being. He was actually a higher being than that, but he was definitely already in fifth dimension. And so he was already seeing the unity consciousness. And when you're at that place, when you're in that frequency, dis-ease is no longer something that you create, because you see yourself as whole. You see everybody else as whole. And so that's one of the reasons people like Jesus could perform these miracles and make blind people see, because when they looked at, let's use Jesus because I'm just thinking of him, but there were many masters. When Jesus looked at someone that had a dis-ease, he didn't see the challenge. He didn't see the lack. He didn't see the dis-ease. He saw the person in their purity, in their wholeness, in their unconditional light. And he held that vision so strongly that everyone around him had faith with him, believed with him, and the frequency changed. And in that frequency, nothing else can be, the other particles of distortion have to leave or change or dissolve or whatever, and blind people can see. People can get up and walk. Indications of challenges within the body dissolve, because in that frequency where we recognize ourselves as the light, the darkness or the distortion or the other frequencies that are not congruent with that light either dissipate and disappear because I'm out of here, I can't handle this frequency, or transmute. And so that's how miraculous healings happen. And that is really powerful. When we move into the fifth dimension, that's a really powerful place to be, where all of us are seeing ourselves as the community. All of us are seeing ourselves as the village. All of us are seeing ourselves as the light and the creator. And oh my gosh, that's where heaven on earth just becomes like, when all of us get to that space, the shifts in the planet will be so tremendous and so fast. It'll blow our mind, right? We've already got technology that's prepared and ready to change the planet's oceans and clean them all up, to re-harvest the soil so that the soil has nutrients. Oh my God, it's so inspiring. This is the first time I thought about the connection between faith, frequency, and miracles. I'm so glad that I'm talking about it then, Betty. All of these things all come into play, right? And so that's where we're going. And yet, let's come back here. Where at the moment, we're still in the process of it. We're still in the depths of the change and the shift. And there are many that have no consciousness of any of this possibility, no awareness of it, and are still just beating the drum of, ho-hum, living, surviving, trying to pay the rent and feed the family and all of those things. And so that frequency is still in separation in third dimension. Now, what I've been seeing is a very, I've been in this spiritual game for like 28 years, right? And I'm an observer. I love watching patterns. And I can see the patterns as they move over this long period of time. And then on top of that, past lives, I've been able to see from a higher perspective of all the things that are going on. And where I'm going with this is that for all the things that I've been through, and, way back when I was spiritually waking up, all those years ago, I had friends like, come up to the Walsh River and hang out there with all the hippies, right? And you know, the world's going to end and there's going to be waves crashing and we need to get off the coast and blah, 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 right? That was 20 odd years ago. And we're still waiting for those waves to crash. And, you know, there is chaos and there is a lot of things that are showing and indicating that we're getting closer and closer to bigger things happening. But it's not like it's one incident. It's these tiny little incidences of chaos that are happening so that we don't put them all together. And so even though potentially, if I was just thinking of myself, tomorrow if I get on and come on here and there's a big screen that says I've got to do X, Y, and Z to access you guys, my audience. If I was just thinking of myself, I could be run by a system that's against the system, the matrix, and be in a place of I'm not going to behave that way and I'm going to rebel. That's the word I was looking for before. I'm going to rebel against the system. And when you're in your own frequency, some people, that's exactly what they're here for. To rebel against the system, to speak up, to tell names, to shout at the rooftops, no, this is not on, this is what's going on, we're being controlled, and you're part of the muggle system, wake up, wake up, wake up, Neo, 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 Matrix, all the stuff, right? And yet I see myself as Neo as well. Some of us are actually supposed to be in the system to keep the system not running, but to be part of the little intricacies of, hey, did you know that you're the creator? Did you know that you're the light? Do you know that you're here to experience? And actually there's way more to you than what you think. And all those beliefs that have been imprinted to you from your parents are actually things that were imprinted on them when they were children, and their parents had the same experience all the way through. And actually it's all part of a game. It's all part of an algorithm. And when you open up and awaken and realize that you are more than this, that you are a higher vibration, that you are the creator and you can make different choices. Wow, the power that you have to live your dreams and to have those beautiful relationships and to support more and more people to wake up and experience themselves as the power and the consciousness and the creator. I feel like I'm here to be that, to be the person that's here to support more and more people to wake up and to remember how powerful you are. And so if that means that I need to be part of the system and the digital process and all that sort of stuff, as long as they're not putting anything in my body, and that I can still freely do what I need to, then I'm here to support as many people as possible to remember who they are. So it's the same thing. You know, I'm sure I've told the story. Before I met Tim, I met a guy that was down south from here. So if I hadn't have met him, I wouldn't have realized how beautiful this area was. But I met this guy, and he was an amazing guy, and he was an amazing poet and really amazing with words, and we used to have some great conversations. And yet he had this thing internally that he was here to love all women, right? So I thought that I was sort of special, you know, that, you know, we were sort of getting to know each other and that we were going to become partners and all the things. But then I had noticed that he would answer the phone the same to other women as he answered the phone to me. And it was just this little, oh, I thought that that voice was only for me, right? And then we'd have this beautiful dinner, and this dinner was amazing. And he's like, oh, I've got to share this dinner with this other person, right? And there was all these little indications, and the little tiny bumps that weren't much at all to start with. But I'd been in enough emotionally dysfunctional relationships to know that these little bumps, these little tiny indications accumulate and become a consistent, right? And so I was just noticing them. And we got to a point where it was enough for me to say, hey, I need to talk to you about this. And so we had a talk, and I said, I thought that you wanted to be with me, right? But here you are, treating me the same as everybody else. The only difference is that we're sleeping together, right? And he gaslit me and said, wait a minute, you're a woman of light. Aren't you supposed to be all love and light, and I can love as many women as I want? And it sort of threw me for a six, because I'm like, oh yeah, isn't that supposed to be my belief? Because this is who I am and this is my box, right? And I had to sit with it. This is years of spiritual development, right? I had to sit for a while and think about, what was my belief? My true internal understanding of who I am and what I want to experience. And I sat with it deeply and realized I had two conflicting choices or belief systems. One was, I wanted a man and I wanted to be his woman and him be my man, and the whole traditional, this is the way it is, right? That was one belief. And then I had a belief that he was right, that, everyone's love and light and you can love whoever you want. I wasn't jealous or anything, just had noticed it and noticed that I wasn't the one, right? So I had these two beliefs. I had to work it out inside of me, which one was mine. Now you would think, with all the spiritual hippie, I do love, love and mung beans and all, peace, love and mung beans and all the things that you do when you're in that space and in that philosophy. You'd think I would have been the one that was a spiritual belief, but I realized that it wasn't. For me, I wanted someone that was traditional. I wanted to be someone's woman, and I wanted someone to be my man. And because I was able to look at my internal system and what I wanted to experience, regardless of what was outside of me, regardless of what I was supposed to look like, be labeled like, or not, because of the world's view of things, and I gave that choice, and I left that guy, right? And said, see you later, love and leave you, all the things, right? Well, lo and behold, when you shift a vibration, you become more of yourself and you lock in those indications of what you want to experience, miracles happen and magic happens. And lo and behold, I think it was like maybe a couple of months after that I went for a walk down the beach and went from pain to make peace and met this beautiful guy, right? Who absolutely wants to be my man, absolutely loves that I'm traditional, absolutely, doesn't have those, frequencies that are out there that are indicating that I have to be careful or worried or concerned about our relationship. We are powerful. So where I'm going with this is, tomorrow is a big day for the world, or maybe just Australia. What I choose on the day, if it does show up, because it could be all absolutely a fallacy, I don't know. I'm going to allow my system to make the decision when it turns up. So tomorrow I might be here and tomorrow I might not be. It depends. Whatever your choice is your choice. It's important for you to find out who you are internally. Not the indications, not the beliefs, not the definitions, not the labels, not anything external to you, but what feels right for you in your experience as a soul here on the physical planet. Now, if you're challenged with that, if you don't know what you believe, if you're still struggling with your boundaries, if you're still struggling with understanding your own system, what is your definition of you? One of the things that I'm doing, and I'm just going to throw this out there because it's so sillily cheap that I can't believe I'm doing it. I'm shifting. We're doing, and this is the 9 year, right? We're moving from one cycle of 9 into a new cycle. So 2026 is a 1 year. I've got all of my old programs, except bar one, Awaken the Lioness, Calling in the One, Boundaries of Love, and 3 of my most powerful meditations. And I've put them together as a Christmas Ascension bundle for like $47. I've had hundreds of women go through these courses, and they are extremely powerful for transformation, for expansion, for depth, for observation of self, all of those things. And because I'm moving and evolving, I don't want to just park them and burn them. I want them to still be shared. You know, like 2 of them are 12-week courses that were, you know, a couple of $1,000s. And so these are, we've put a checklist together of how to follow, like what to do first and when to do it. And it's just for Christmas. Might be something that you want to gift to another spiritual woman or someone just waking up. If that feels like, not if, because no one's ever ready. I always say if, but it's not true. You would be silly to not grab this. Boundaries of Love changed the way we see ourselves and others. I loved it so much. Yeah, that's a 7-day mini course, right? That was awesome. I had another woman in that that I always think of her whenever I think of Boundaries of Love, that was having challenges with her ex, and he would just walk into the house, you know, and not have any respect for her own boundaries. And she went through that course, and he started knocking on the door, and even was, you know, washing the kids' clothes before he brought them home and all the things. It was really cool. That alone, right? I mean, Awaken the Lioness has got a deeper, we've got the quick chakra meditation, or quick chakra clearing for busy women. Awaken the Lioness has its own depth of the shadow work of chakras, as well as, you know, a deeper understanding of the chakras, so they complement each other. It's just such a great little bundle, so I thought I'd reach out and share it at the end of this, just before tomorrow. Throw Christmas into the comments and we will send you the link. We didn't even make a sales page, we just made a checkout page. 47 Australian dollars, so for those overseas it's even cheaper. And maybe I'll be on here tomorrow, maybe I won't, we'll see. But take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will catch you soon. Mwah.